Hey there, my wedding planning friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with the lovely Melissa, who is a wedding florist here in Missoula. And Melissa, why don't you go ahead and just kind of give everyone a sense of who you are, what you do, how you got started, all that.
Yeah, great. Thank you for having me, Emily.
Of course, thanks for being here.
Emily and I have worked together on quite a few weddings, and she's absolutely fabulous. So I started Earth Within Flowers about 5 years ago here in Montana. I was working as a florist in Brooklyn, New York prior to this with Molly Oliver Flowers.
I always forget about that. Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, and really the principles that I learned from Molly in New York and that I really wanted to bring here to Montana were the aspects of sustainability and also the aspect of education.
Sure.
So I source the majority of my flowers in the summertime from our local farmers and get a lot of beautiful rose varieties from like Grace Rose Farm and different Oregon and Washington growers. And then in the off season I use a lot of dried flowers actually in the winter time.
Yeah.
So I will get anything that a bride wants as far as California, but I don't do international flowers, and I could go way into that, but
Yeah.
I won't today.
Yeah.
So yeah, Earth Within Flowers rooted from just the inherent connection that we have to nature at all times and how flowers can really be used in celebration for weddings as just this symbol of love and symbol of a couple's character, as well as using some of the healing benefits of the flowers. So I love to connect kind of the meaning of the flowers. If a bride has something symbolic, like I have an Irish bride that's coming and she wants some specific
Very cool.
Irish flowers.
Yeah.
And then I also, in our educational work, so we do DIY workshops across the community, and I find that there's a lot of healing in the mindfulness practice of using flowers, working with flowers, and bringing about that sense of creativity.
For sure. I love that. Yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned sustainability. Can you kind of expand on that as far as what you mean by using or practicing sustainability when it comes to, let's say, wedding flowers?
Yeah, absolutely. So 85% of our flowers in the United States come from Colombia and Ecuador, where the labor and environmental land use practices are less than ideal. So I really like to support the local economy, and it's not only about that, it's also about the aesthetic of the natural environment. A lot of brides come to Montana, as a destination, and they love the ambiance and the feel here. So when I'm thinking about, a wedding palette for the day, I'm like, okay, how can we complement the natural environment and use flowers that are in season that you might see growing locally in the fields or somebody's garden, and really keep it inspired by the natural Montana landscape.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to designing for a bride, how do you go about, I guess, well, let's start with this. What's like the number one question you feel like you get a lot when people are inquiring about wedding flowers? Is there one?
Sure.
How much does it cost?
Well, that one always comes to mind, of course. I'd say, how we can really get the look that they're going for within the season that we're working.
Very important, yeah.
So it's, it's really interesting because, a lot of people don't necessarily know that peonies are really just available in June.
Very short period, too.
Which makes sense because they're all over Pinterest and Instagram, and they grow in different environments across the country. However, if you are looking for a peony look, you can really get that within any season. You can do garden roses in the summertime. You can do dahlias at the end of the season. So I find that a lot of brides, come to me and they're like, can we accomplish this look, with using either what's locally or regionally available, or can I really get that soft, spring wispy look in the fall?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. Yeah, there's absolutely so many varieties of flowers that offer that same look and feel. Like, for instance, poppies in the beginning of the spring can be really well matched with those like fall anemones towards the end of the season.
I feel like that's when a florist really comes in. Is I'm sure you have probably a love-hate relationship with Pinterest, as do I, because people will, they see these images and they'll come to you and say, this is what I want for my wedding day. And, for them, they're probably picking out maybe the color scheme, maybe the shape of the bouquet, and I'm sure you look at it and you're like, okay, well, that flower's not in season, that flower, and is that something that you find happens a lot?
Not necessarily. I feel like a lot of the clients that I work with they're looking for a look.
Yeah.
And I do have, some clients that are like, oh, I really, really would love to have, those dahlias or those peonies because they're symbolic, because my grandmother grew them in the garden, whatever it is. And then more times than not, we can get those for them. It's just the price.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I feel like flowers are maybe one of the more misunderstood aspects of a wedding, as far as both cost, and I think there's people, you have kind of both ends of the spectrum, where there's people that they're like, what's the point of having flowers if, what do I do at the end of my wedding day? They're just going to either die or get forgotten or thrown out, and that seems kind of like a waste of money. And what do you say when people kind of have that thought?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do offer floral pickup service. It's an add-on to our custom packages. And of course, location dependent as well. Yeah. So we would be willing to compost the flowers or bring them to like a charity of choice. Yeah. Or oftentimes I suggest that folks consider, one of two options. If they don't necessarily want to add in that pickup service to their package, they can preserve the flowers, they can dry the flowers and come back to one of our like wreath making workshops. I've had a lot of brides bring their wedding flowers to a wreath making workshop, or potentially have me create something for them for their home.
I was going to ask if that's something that you ever do. That's cool. So you can like repurpose their wedding day into something they can keep forever.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
The second option is they can delegate a family member and just ask them to take the flowers to a nursing home, or they might be able to, there's so many events happening across, the valley, Flathead Valley, Missoula. There's got to be something going on where like a local charity could use the flowers. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I like that. I hate it. Like, breaks my heart when the bride is just like, just throw it all out at the end of the night and just don't. Oh, I hate it.
But flowers are. It's funny, when I first got into flowers, they're like, oh, you're killing the flowers, and it's like, no, actually, the plants really want to be used, and they want to be cut so that they can produce more, and that they can put a little bit more energy into their root system. So, and it's just a part of that life cycle.
Yeah.
So as long as you're like composting or doing something like that at the end of the event, I think it's okay. Like the flowers are there to be this bright, shining moment, and they're there to be enjoyed.
For me, I prefer when clients, for decor route, especially in Montana, so many of our venues are so aesthetically pleasing without really having to do much, because such beautiful settings. And I think just adding some florals in is really all a lot of them need, rather than spending money on decor when you're going to end up in the same position, whether you're throwing it out or trying to sell it or whatever. You're
plastic or glass.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah, flowers at least can go back into the environment.
Yeah, so. I like that. So now let's talk about design a little bit more. So when a client first comes to you wanting to design something for their wedding day, what is that process like for you and the client, as far as like building? Do you do consultations to start? Do you talk about kind of your process? How does it look moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So I offer two different services. One that's the most popular service is our full service wedding flowers, and then we have an a la carte menu. So to start simply, the a la carte menu is all online. Actually, we just launched a new website earthwithin.com.
Check it out. Shameless plug.
And the a la carte menu is there. You know, maybe they just want a bouquet, or they want a boutonniere, they just want that wedding party styled and they'd like to come pick up. So that's the option for those clients to go on our a la carte menu and pick and choose, share 3 colors, and then attach 3 images, and then there's a note section. And then our full service wedding flower option, so you contact me via my website and I get back to you pretty quickly, and then we have a consultation form that I send, and it's just to get a general idea of like inspiration photos and arrangements, budget, location, date, all of that. And if it seems like a good fit, then we'll schedule a in-person or a like Google Hangouts if you're a destination client consultation, just to review those, you know, line items, and also as an opportunity to just get to know each other personality-wise and make sure that we're a good fit for working together.
Are there any tips that you have for brides that are just starting to maybe look for their wedding florist? And I feel like there's a lot of question when it comes to finding your wedding florist, as far as, you know, how do you know what the difference is between different florists in town, what their style is. Obviously you can kind of see pictures, but at the same time, you know, you're working towards your past clients' aesthetic and style, not necessarily always yours. I'm sure you have like a specific flair, but any tips on helping brides guide that decision and what to look for in a florist, questions to ask maybe at the start, anything like that?
Yes, absolutely. So it's really it's a few different things. It's whether or not your value systems align. So I do often have people that really do care about the local and sustainability aspect of what we do. But then it's also style. So for us, our style is just like really natural and soft and elegant and textural. If you're looking for something a little bit more traditional, we might not be the right fit. There's other florists that do just a really nice job with that more traditional look. Every florist has like their own distinct look. So I would just suggest going to each website, checking out their work, looking on their portfolios, looking on their Instagram accounts.
What would we do without
Facebook.
Instagram?
I know, right?
So finding someone that kind of meshes with your personality and your style is the most important, you would say. Cool.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
And value system.
Right.
Yeah.
Earlier I kind of mentioned that wedding flowers are kind of the most misunderstood aspect of weddings, because I get a lot of clients coming to me and they're either completely shocked by the cost of flowers, or they've heard from their friends, you know, how much they spent on wedding flowers, and they want to try and minimize that cost as much as possible, and they don't understand why flowers cost as much as they do. So can you maybe touch on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a conversation that I have with clients pretty regularly as well. So, you know, flowers are seasonally dependent, so depending on the season they can be more or less expensive. And actually, it's amazing when you think about the rough cost of flowers, it's actually less expensive to get them locally. So here in Montana we have to do a combination of both, unless it's really the peak season like July and August, getting them regionally and locally. But you think about the rough cost of the flowers, and then you tack on like 60% for delivery, because the flowers are coming overnight, and you're paying that high premium on the delivery to make sure that they get here all in one piece. And then it's, you know, for me, when I send clients our outline of costs and the estimate, it's by arrangement. So I factor in all of that behind the scenes time that it takes to put together that arrangement, and that includes the design, the consultation, you know, that process that we take after that consultation process of really taking the client's vision and then turning it into something even more unique
Yeah.
and that flows more in a professional way. And then it's sourcing the flowers, making sure that, you know, I'm getting the correct quantity, contacting all of my people, getting the best flowers for my client. And then it's stripping, processing all the flowers, because they oftentimes come, you know, covered with all of the leaves. Sometimes they're dirty. I'll be sitting there washing leaf by leaf because they're coming straight from the farm. And then designing and hiring all the people to help with the design process. So it is, you know, it is quite involved on our end.
A lot more than people even and realize, I think. So I'm glad you're able to kind of share that with people, maybe help them better understand, you know, the process of flowers, and it's not just going out and picking flowers and putting them in a vase, you know. I have a lot of clients that think they can do it themselves, and I mean, personally, I feel like unless you have experience working with wedding florals, don't try to tackle it on your own, because it's a much, much, much bigger task than you can even imagine. Just trust me.
Well, there's a lot of casualties too. I usually order 25% in addition of what I'm going to need, just because they're like perishable items. They'll come, you know, delivered already dead, things like that. So it is a lot of stress. And I have a wedding flower planning guide that is a free 36-page download on my website.
Great.
That really goes into actually a storyline between doing your flowers DIY and then doing your flowers with a professional. And we actually offer DIY consultation services. So, and our website also includes links to a bunch of local farms.
Very cool.
I think at the very least, if you are needing to keep your budget in line, you should have your bridal party flowers done professionally.
That's what I usually tell people.
Yeah, and then you could hire me. We could sit down, and I could help you just source all of your flowers from local farmers and put together a simple recipe and actually give you a little tutorial. Sometimes it's a question of like, are you saving money?
Right.
Because of the stress and time that it takes. Like professionals, I've been working in flowers for almost 9 years, and when I'm training somebody new in the studio, you know, their dexterity and efficiency is just not there.
Yeah. Well,
yet.
Practice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So,
so do you prefer to always do the install for weddings? Do you have a lot that try and just come pick them up to save that cost, or do you try and sway them to always do the install?
Yeah, so I actually, on our a la carte menu, we don't offer any like on-site installations such as an archway or even chair flowers or things like that, because I just don't feel comfortable with handing that off to somebody. But yes, I do. I mean, I try to just provide all the different options, and I really like to support whatever my clients are hoping for. And really, if they just want a bridal bouquet and a boutonniere, you know, I've had some people just be like, oh, I can't. I don't even want to put these in my car. What if they dump over? What, you know? And then I'll go do the delivery and I'll just hand them their bridal bouquet and pin the boutonniere, and that's it. And then some people come and pick them up.
Well, let's end it with, what is your favorite part about being a wedding florist, or just a florist in general? It doesn't have to be necessarily weddings, but
yes. Well, so I have a background in Western herbalism and Salish ethnobotany, and
wait, what is that second one?
Salish ethnobotany.
What is
it's
that?
Like the cultural meaning behind Salish specific plants. So we here in Missoula live on Salish territory, Salish Native American territory. So I did a little internship in my master's degree with ethnobotanism, kind of like how they were used in ceremony or how they're used medicinally, but from that Native American perspective.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So I love getting up in the spring through the fall and starting my day with just like a morning walk through the neighborhood or through the forest and seeing what's growing and choosing some unique varieties of plants that I can incorporate into my designs that you might not see anywhere else. Like a cool vine or some specific type of wildflower that's just like stunning. Just love that connection to the plants. I feel like for me as a florist, it's like the aesthetic is super important, and you know, my grandmother was in fashion and was really into flowers. I'll show you a picture of her garden here in a second.
Okay.
But she, you know, taught me that like femininity of the flowers and that aesthetic. But I also feel like for me, working with the flowers is just super important.
Yeah.
For just like keeping me grounded, keeping me like sane, and yeah. So I feel like it transcends just, you know, that aesthetic beauty as well. Like it's really personal to me. And
Yeah.
I feel like oftentimes I'm like, I just can't believe that I get to do what I do.
And that's so important.
That's
I love that.
fabulous.
And that, I mean, it really shows, and I can tell that you're really passionate about what you do, and I think clients really appreciate that as well, especially when it comes to something as personal as, you know, designing their wedding day. So
I
I appreciate everything that you do, and
thank you.
I'm so excited to work on some weddings this summer.
Yes.
If you guys are looking for a wedding florist, specifically in the Missoula, how far do you travel if you do? If you travel?
Yep, I'll go all the way up to Glacier. I'm actually considering doing I'm a Canadian, so some BC
There you go.
weddings. And yeah, I've gone to Chico Hot Springs, Bozeman, Belgrade area.
Cool.
So yeah, here in Montana, it's kind of required that we travel because
Yes.
things are so spread out.
Very,
And
very
I
true.
love it. Yeah.
I'll link Melissa's website below here so you can check out her site, and then also that resource would be great too. I'll link that below so people can kind of see the DIY side versus hiring a professional.
Great.
And I hope you guys found this video helpful, and we'll see you next week for another video on wedding tips and advice.